Micah Bennett thought he understood heartbreak. For 9 years, he believed he had already survived the worst of it. He thought the deepest wound a person could carry was loving someone completely, planning a future around them, and then watching them destroy everything with one brutal betrayal. He thought that was the story of Naomi Harper, the woman he loved, the woman who broke him, the one he never really got over. Then, on a bright Saturday afternoon at Briar State University, he learned heartbreak could still get worse. The practice field was alive with alumni weekend energy. White tents flapped in the warm breeze. Music drifted over the grass from a DJ near the far sideline. Children ran between activity stations while former students laughed too loudly at stories that had grown bigger over the years. Parents carried hot dogs and funnel cake. Old players stood around in Briar State colors, older now, slower at the edges, but still wearing that old swagger that came from once being known on a field. And in the middle of all that sun and reunion cheer, Micah saw a little girl in his old jersey. At first, it meant nothing. Just another child in number 23, sleeves too long, hem nearly to her knees, braids tied back, sneakers planted stubbornly in the grass. But then he noticed the way she stood, one foot slightly forward. Weight balanced naturally. Knees bent without effort. A volunteer leaned in to help her at the passing station, and the little girl gave him a look that made it painfully clear she did not appreciate being underestimated. The volunteer laughed, stepped back, and handed her a foam football. She narrowed her eyes at the target, drew back her arm, and threw. The ball clipped the edge of the stand and fell short. Nothing remarkable, but Micah stopped breathing anyway, because the motion felt familiar. The shoulder tilt, the planted feet, the follow through. It was not polished, but it was unmistakable enough to make his body go still. The volunteer clapped. The girl frowned like praise for mediocrity offended her. She grabbed another ball, adjusted her grip, and tried again. Then she turned toward him. The resemblance hit all at once. Her eyes first, then the mouth, the brow, the small line between her eyebrows when she focused too hard. The watchful expression, like she was always quietly studying the world before deciding how to move in it. Micah did not decide to walk toward her. His body had already started moving. The rest of the field blurred around him. Music still played. People still laughed. Someone pushed a stroller across his path. The whole afternoon kept moving, bright and ordinary and careless. But he saw only her. Then the little girl ran toward the sideline, calling out in a voice that sliced straight through him. "Mama, did you see that?" Micah looked up, and there she was. Naomi Harper stood near the rope line with a juice box in one hand and a canvas tote hanging from her shoulder, looking like any ordinary mother at a college family event. But the moment her eyes met his, all the color drained from her face. She knew. The little girl reached her side, flushed with pride. "Did you see? I almost got it that second time." Naomi did not answer. She was too busy staring at Micah like she had just watched a door she had spent years holding shut fly open in public. The girl looked between them, sensing the tension, if not the reason for it, and asked in a small, puzzled voice, "Mama, why is that man looking at me like that?" That was the moment Micah's world split open. Not when he saw the jersey, not even when he saw the face. This, the child asking the question. Naomi frozen beside her, the entire truth hanging in the hot afternoon air before anyone had said it aloud. Naomi moved first. She dropped to a knee, set down the juice box, and smoothed the trembling hand over one braid. Why don't you go with Auntie Lena and get ice cream? She said softly. The girl protested, of course. She wanted to finish at the passing station. She wanted to do the race next. She wanted the day to go back to what it had been 5 minutes earlier. But Naomi asked again, and there was something in her voice that made the child pause. A woman nearby, Lena, stepped in and offered to take her. The girl hesitated, then went, though not without one last look back at Micah. It was not fear. It was open curiosity, the kind on time had changed her, yes, but not enough. He could still see the girl from Briar State beneath the steadier woman she had become, the one he used to find in a crowd without trying, the one he had once thought he would build his whole life around. He said her name for the first time in years. Naomi. It sounded wrong in his own voice, too intimate, too alive. She looked at him and said the only thing she could say, "Not here." He almost laughed, but the sound came out scraped raw. Not here. As if place still mattered. As if privacy could soften any part of this. Then she glanced toward the ice cream stand where Lena was distracting the child, and Micah understood. Whatever happened next, it could not happen in front of her. So he followed Naomi behind the old athletic building. The noise of the field day dulled as they moved away from the crowd. For a second, neither of them spoke. He was breathing too hard. She was holding herself together by force. Then Micah asked the first question. Who is she? Naomi closed her eyes for 1 second, like a woman bracing for a blow she had known was coming for years. When she opened them again, there was nowhere left to hide. Micah asked the question that mattered more. How old is she? He already knew. Some part of him had known the second he saw that child's face. But knowing in the body was one thing. Hearing the truth aloud was another. He needed the final fact that would either destroy him completely or prove he was losing his mind. Naomi answered in a voice so quiet it almost disappeared into the air. She's 8. The words hit hard enough to make his chest seize. Then she added, almost whispering, she turns 9 this summer. 8. Nearly 9. His mind did the math before he could stop it. Graduation, the draft, the last time they had touched. The timing was too exact to deny. He laughed then, but the sound cracked in the middle. 8. Naomi flinched. Micah took a step back, then another, because suddenly the air did not feel like enough. His hands rose uselessly and fell again. How many birthdays had he missed? How many fevers, scraped knees, first days of school, Christmas mornings, bedtime stories? But to understand why that truth destroyed him, you have to go back. Back before the fame and the silence. Back to when Micah Bennett was just a college boy in love, and Naomi Harper was the only woman who could make him forget the rest of the world existed. Back then, Naomi always knew where Micah was, even before she saw him. Briar State was loud and crowded and full of spring heat, music, athletes, and too much life happening all at once. But Micah had a presence. Even at 21, he moved like a man already chasing tomorrow. Everything about him was disciplined. Film, training, recovery, class, sleep, repeat. Other players chased girls, parties, and chaos. Micah chased purpose, but with Naomi, he was different, softer, looser, human. She could walk up to him outside the athletic building while he sat with a playbook open on his lap and know just from the set of his shoulders whether practice had gone well. And the second her shadow crossed the page, he always looked up like she was the only interruption he never minded. That was their love. Not flashy. Familiar. He peeled the pickles off her burger because he knew she hated them. She bullied him into eating real food because protein shakes did not count. He folded his giant football body into her tiny dorm bed and made it feel natural. They talked about the future sideways. A dog one day, a bigger bed, a house with a porch, maybe a yard, maybe kids. At Briar State, everyone looked at them and assumed that they were the kind of couple that lasted. Honestly, so did they. That was what made what happened next so cruel, because just when their future started feeling real, life hit them all at once. Micah's NFL draft was coming, and Naomi found out she was pregnant. It happened on a Tuesday morning. No dramatic collapse. Just Naomi sitting on the bathroom floor with a test in one shaking hand, staring at two pink lines that changed everything. Pregnant. For one dangerous second, she imagined telling him. She imagined Micah's face lighting up. Imagined his hands on her. Imagined him saying they would figure it out together. And that was exactly the problem, because Naomi knew Micah. If she told him he would choose her, he would choose the baby. He would choose them over everything else. Because when Micah Bennett loved, he loved like a man willing to tear up his whole life if it meant protecting what mattered. And Naomi was terrified of becoming the reason he lost the future he had worked his whole life for. So for 3 days, she said nothing. Then draft night came. The Bennetts packed into Jordan's apartment because it was bigger than Naomi's and close enough to campus for Micah's teammates to drift through. Pizza boxes lined the kitchen counters. The television was too loud. Everybody pretended to be relaxed and failed. Micah sat on the couch with that quiet intensity people always mistook for confidence. Naomi knew better. He was scared. And when his name was finally called, the room exploded. His mother cried. Jordan shouted. Teammates tackled him. Everyone cheered like the future had finally opened its doors. And through all the chaos, Micah found Naomi with his eyes. He always found her. The look on his face in that moment would haunt her for years. It was the look of a man seeing the life he had fought for finally arriving. And Naomi smiled back at him, while another truth was already drowning her from the inside, because now he had it. The dream, the draft, the future. And she was carrying the one secret that could wreck the balance of all of it. Later that night, when the apartment had gone quiet, Micah found her standing on the little back balcony. He wrapped his arms around her from behind and said, wonder still alive in his voice, I got drafted. I heard. Naomi laughed softly, because what else was there to do? Then he turned her toward him, looked into her face, and said the thing that made everything impossible. He told her he wanted her there, in his future, in his life, whatever came next. And Naomi knew in that exact moment that she could not tell him the truth, because if she did, he would stay. Or worse, he would try to be everything at once and break himself in half doing it. So she made the worst decision of her life. She staged a betrayal. She paid another guy to be in her apartment at the exact moment Micah would walk in. She wanted it undeniable. Cruel enough to work. Brutal enough to leave no room for hope. And when Micah opened that door carrying takeout, calling her name like he still belonged there, his whole face changed in 1 second when he saw Naomi with her arms around another man's neck. The bag slipped from his hand. The containers hit the floor. The room went dead still. He looked at her like language had failed him. What is this? Naomi knew it was time to lie like her whole life depended on it, because it did. She forced herself to hold his gaze and said, You're leaving, and I'm not doing long distance. I'm not the girl you'll outgrow. And when Micah, shattered, told her he would have chosen her, she gave him the one answer sharp enough to cut him loose. That's the problem. He left destroyed, and heartbreak turned him into something else, colder, sharper, more disciplined. He became a man with no scandal attached to his name, no nightlife photos, no women drama, no messy public implosions, just work, excellence, routine, until now, until the college reunion, and now standing behind the old athletic building with his chest barely working, Micah Bennett understood the shape of what had been taken from him. For 9 years, he had mourned a family he thought he never got to have. Now he knew the truth was worse. He had one. And Naomi Harper had taken it from him. And if you need the rest of this story, the confrontation, the secret baby fallout, the second chance, and the ending Micah and Naomi have to earn, you can read the full novel, The Rookie, She Had to Break, now on amplereads.com.